What will be more powerful, the AI singularity, to borrow from futurist Ray Kurzweil, or the consciousness singularity, when our species awakens from the delusion that mind is separate from cosmos? In this video, I'm going to compare and contrast the potential impact of recent revolutionary AI chatbot technologies with the less discussed revolutionary potential of human integrated intelligence. As I discussed in a recent video, integrated intelligence is the human ability to draw upon a wider range of ways of knowing in solving problems and living life according to the authentic self. Notably, it incorporates an expanded notion of consciousness, the idea of the non-local mind, as I shall soon explain. Now, I've been writing and talking about integrated intelligence for 3 decades, and after experimenting with this barely recognized form of smarts, I've noted some important distinctions, including about what it can do well, not so well, and under what conditions. I believe that all human beings possess integrated intelligence to greater or lesser degree, and it's most unfortunate that we have largely lost our understanding of it, because it's fundamental in the development of our authentic selves and to the appreciation of our human species' place in the cosmos. And it's hard to think of anything more profound than that. If you look around at society today, we will note that human intelligence is continuing to expand with developments of new technologies, cultures, and institutions, even despite the baffling mediocrity of US presidential candidates. To appreciate this, we must recognize that human intelligence has never merely been a property of the individual. Our brains are wired to synchronize with other people and environments. One part of this is now well known in mainstream science, and there is an abundance of experimental evidence to support it. I refer to this aspect of intelligence as the embedded mind, and it's one of the 6 domains of the intelligence matrix, a simple model which I developed to outline key sources of information that we 21st century humans can potentially draw upon as we make sense of our lives. The first domain of the intelligence matrix is the conscious mind, and this is what we are mostly aware of in ordinary states of waking consciousness, including normal, rational thinking. The second domain is a recent addition, the internet and AI, which I symbolically write as WWW. This sphere continues to expand in scope and power, and the recent additions of chatbots and a fledgling metaverse has been a significant shift. Next, we have the body, which filters and delivers to us a continuous stream of mostly subtle information, and often without our conscious awareness. The fourth domain in the intelligence matrix is the psyche, the shadowy world of the subconscious, which we typically become aware of in non-ordinary states of consciousness, including via dreams, meditations, drugs, and extreme stress. There then comes the embedded mind, as previously mentioned, which operates as our brain synchronized with our environment, again, without conscious awareness most of the time. And that brings us to the final layer of the intelligence matrix, the non-local mind. This aspect of intelligence connects us to other people, times, and places, possibly via fields of consciousness. Though not recognized in mainstream science, it's been a commonly held awareness in many spiritual, religious, and awakening traditions right across the world and for thousands of years. The non-local mind functions mostly via intuitive experience, subtle feelings, insights, and inspirations. Non-ordinary states of consciousness are typically involved. Now, just before I begin my comparison of artificial intelligence and integrated intelligence, it should be obvious that none of these 6 domains of the intelligence matrix operates in total isolation from the others. The human body and its brain draws from all of them, for example, while the psyche and the non-local mind are intimately entwined. But this simple model will do for the purposes of discussions like the one in this video. So, which is more powerful, ChatGPT or integrated intelligence? And which singularity is going to transform us most powerfully? Ray Kurzweil's AI singularity or the consciousness singularity? Number 1, reliability. It has to be said that for the most part, today's chatbots are remarkably robust. While their reliability depends upon the hardware we're using and our Wi-Fi connection, for the most part, All you have to do is switch on the machine and click on the app, and voila, there you have it in your hands, a little robot friend. What's more, it doesn't get tired, sick, or cranky like we humans do. Conversely, if we are consulting our intuition when making an important decision, once any of these issues set in, our sense-making can go haywire. Further, it's well known that the wisdom of spirit can be deeply distorted by the human ego. Its unstable emotions, desires, greed, and vainglorious lust for attention and power. The often subtle signals granted us by integrated intelligence can easily be twisted by the user. That means you and I. We will often ignore intuition when its message conflicts with our personal agendas. Of course, we can do the same with a chatbot's advice, but it's a bit harder to simply deny what is written or spoken directly to you, as opposed to denying a subtle inner feeling, voice, or image. Further, it must be conceded that the chatbots are trained mostly by humans, both as the programmers and by literal teams of people sitting in rooms in mostly poorer countries as they test the machine for silly or simply politically correct responses. For that reason, you probably won't be exposed to ideas that conflict with the dominant narrative and worldview of the day. And you're not likely to stumble across ideas that show the big tech companies and their political and economic allies in bad light. That's where your integrated intelligence has an advantage over the machines. It cuts out the middleman media manipulators. But wait, we also have to consider that we humans are all deeply conditioned by the societies we live in, their education systems, and media corporations. So that too can distort our intuitions, even when we're not online. All up, we can see that both chatbots and human intuition are fallible. It depends on what kind of knowledge you're trying to access. In other words, it depends on the context. What you want to know and why. So I'm going to call it a draw here. Number 2, learning curves. I think you'll agree that chatbots are typically rather easy to use. While high-level mastery may take some time, rudimentary competence is pretty much available the first time you use one. Sure, it may take some experimentation to learn how to write a good prompt, but it's not exactly rocket science. On the other hand, integrated intelligence may take years to achieve competence, let alone mastery. After all, wisdom is its essence, not quick info. Personally, I began to experiment with integrated intelligence in my mid-20s. To that time, I was a skeptic and had no experience nor any belief in such ways of knowing and being. But as I write in my book, Power and Presence, after stumbling across some books by alternative thinkers like Wayne Dyer and Stuart Wilde, I decided to practice using light trance states as means to ask questions and then glean answers from my psyche. I immediately discovered a rich inner world and had so many spiritual and psychic experiences, hate that word, that eventually I was forced to change my entire worldview. A few years later, I engaged in deep emotional healing work and then began to explore the mindfulness teachings of Leonard Jacobson after meeting him personally. In between all this, I did formal research into integrated intelligence, and much of my doctoral thesis directly addressed the subject. So, all up, it took me the best part of 20 years before I gained a deep understanding of integrated intelligence. All this inner work and practice taught me that in order to master integrated intelligence, you have to invest time into learning its emotional and symbolic language, and to foster the ability to enter non-ordinary states of consciousness. And then there's a genuine need for self-reflection and shadow work, understanding how the human mind and ego function from a first-person perspective. Because self-deception, both yours and others, is inevitable when exploring the intuitive realms. And you need to be alert for it. Hopefully, it won't take you as long as me to learn to use integrated intelligence, but it can't be denied that a great commitment of time and focus is required, including deep intentionality. You've got to really mean it. Therefore, chatbots win hands down in terms of the learning curve required to develop competence, with integrated intelligence being far harder to develop. And yet, like all things, for me, the effort has been worth it. Number 3, social acceptance. As I mentioned, developing integrated intelligence requires deep intentionality, persistence, and even courage. And the truth is that you'll probably be discouraged from acknowledging the insights you glean from your deep intuitive mind in most social and economic contexts. Unless you live in California, of course. Indeed, in some professional, social, and educational settings, you will be ridiculed or even ostracized if you openly discuss your deliberate use of the intuitive mind. For this reason, the AI singularity will most likely continue to accelerate more rapidly than the consciousness singularity for at least the foreseeable future. Nonetheless, it is theoretically possible that in the future, if integrated intelligence becomes scientifically acceptable, big tech companies and our institutions of learning and science may invest big bucks into its practice and into enhancing its innate functions. In other words, if integrated intelligence becomes an economic or even military asset, we could see a major civilizational shift, one that could herald the beginning of the consciousness singularity. Another fringe factor that might accelerate integrated intelligence as a legitimate way of knowing is if we humans establish definitive contact with alien civilizations, or at the very least, if we are able to reverse engineer a UAP craft, and that process reveals that our present scientific understanding of physics and consciousness is self-limiting. Yes, these scenarios appear wild or even half mad from our present moment in history, but having personally witnessed 2 UFO phenomena in a single evening, as revealed in this video, I'm led to believe that this is not as far-fetched as many would believe. And you might like to think about how wild would our present technocentric civilization appear to an old world human transported to 2024 from a culture which existed before the Industrial Revolution, when most people lived in villages or on land. In summary, unless you live in an Amish community, you'll face little pressure to restrict your use of AI and chatbots, while you will likely face significant barriers when exploring integrated intelligence. It therefore requires an act of faith to develop your integrated intelligence, because your friends, family, school, and society probably won't understand it. And many with strong religious and scientific convictions may be openly hostile to it. In other words, like me, you're probably going to have to do it yourself. Number 4, natural ability. I think you'll agree that most humans with any moderate level of digital literacy and intelligence and with access to a device can operate a chatbot like ChatGPT. Chatbots are immediately accessible. Well, until the internet goes down, there's a power cut, or you lose your phone. But I do digress. However, while I know from personal experience that most human beings can develop their innate integrated intelligence, it has to be admitted that some people are more naturally intuitively gifted than others. When I first began to meditate, around the age of 26, I was shocked to discover that I was easily able to enter a kind of waking dream state, where I could ask questions and often get immediate answers, though they were often cryptic and symbolic. Indeed, I experienced a very visceral opening of the third eye, which I see to this day as a star-like blue light just before and between my eyes. And I can see it whether my eyes are open or closed, as long as I'm deeply relaxed. So not everybody has that kind of experience. In his fascinating book, Journey of a Seer, gifted intuitive and psychologist Peter L. Nelson argues that some people are just natural seers, and they can't turn it off, even if they want to. I mostly agree with him, although I strongly believe that we can all develop at least some degree of profound intuition, because all our minds are embedded within the intelligence matrix. In short, to use a chatbot, all you really need is access to a machine, and ability doesn't really come into it. Human intuition needs no device, but not everybody has a natural aptitude for it. But the good news is that if a giant tsunami or nuclear war wipes out machines and you're left to fend for yourself in a Mad Max type wasteland, you will still have access to your integrated intelligence. Well, as long as your brain hasn't been fried by radiation. So these have been 4 areas for comparison of artificial intelligence and integrated intelligence. In the next video, part 2, I am going to reveal 4 more, including what I think are the most profound distinctions, including accessing the potential of AI and the intuitive mind in transforming human consciousness itself. So please like and subscribe to my Power and Present channel if you want to explore this and the many more similar videos to follow each week. Meanwhile, what do you think? In what ways are the frontiers of artificial intelligence and human intuitive intelligence similar or different? Leave your thoughts and insights in the comments section. I'm Marcus T. Anthony. See you again soon in the futures.